different areas around the world. I'm really thrilled and excited about All-in-One, One and All. Thank you so much for chiming in. Really appreciate you. Those who are coming back, those who are watching for the very first time, welcome to this channel. My name is Dr. Harry Benjamin. Very grateful and thankful for the role that I'm playing and the part that I'm playing here on this planet to help us to actually liberate more of our peace and our joy and our abundance. I really appreciate the feedback and the comments, the different people have been sharing with me. And I'm looking forward to, more people learning these principles and applying them in their lives. I'm seeing a lot of people's lives change and transform as they apply these principles. I've learned these principles over time. I've applied them to my own life. I learned them through reading great books from wonderful authors like Deepak Chopra, Michael Bernard Beckwith, Charles Fillmore, Thomas Troward, or, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Some great books I've read over time. The Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads. I've been able to benefit tremendously from reading a very wide array of materials from a spiritual standpoint that have allowed me to become more clearly in touch with who and what I really am, and knowing more clearly who and what you really are. One of the things about us is that each of us have greatness inside. And we've been speaking repeatedly over the last two topics about fear, helping us to understand fear more, and divesting ourselves of fear so that we can actually liberate the greatness that's embedded within our being. We have a greatness gene, so to speak, right? We have designer genes, right? Those genes come from the creator himself or itself, depending on what term you want to use. I'm not stuck so much on terms. I'm stuck more on living. Can we allow the qualities that are within us to be manifest so that they're real, they're tangible, they're something that we can experience? So, ladies and gentlemen, this talk and this conversation is about how we can experience more of ourselves, how we can experience more of the greatness that's within us. Last week we spoke about the acronym for greatness. I looked at different acronyms and even looked at the acronym humility and how we use that word sometimes to hinder and obstruct the magnificence that's already coded and loaded within our being. So I want to encourage each and every one of us to really start to really contemplate this, reflect on this, that you are indeed truly awesome and magnificent. That's within us. That's a natural state of being. We are. When I look at that word magnificent, it's really a cool word. Made after God's magnificent, right? Sometimes I have to remember them. Yeah. So made after God's nature, right? Infinitely, forever increasing, cultivating new talents, right? Or continuously expressing new talents. Yeah, I think that's it, right? So made after God's nature, infinitely, forever, right? Forever, yeah, F, right? Increasingly, infinitely, forever. Reverse. Right. So magnificence, let's do that. Made after God's nature, infinitely, forever, increasing, continuously expressing new talents. Right? So that's the way I look at the word magnificent. And as I've been sharing with you over time, these acronyms and these words and these ways of looking at words is something that birthed itself from me. It's not something I did in school, so that just came from the soul. It doesn't come from something I read in a book or something I heard someone else say. It came from my being, right? And I'm sharing that with you live, the way it happens. So my editor is not going to cut out that mistake. He's going to keep it there because it's just the way it is, right? It's natural. So I want us to recognize that we have this natural gift, this power, this talent. We have peace, we have joy, we have abundance, we have this radiant, luminous nature that's within us. And it needs to be expressed. There's an urgent need for that nature to be expressed. It is an emergent nature. It will emerge. It's going to emerge with your cooperation and sometimes without it. Whenever we have emergencies in our life, it is the emergent being that we are seeking to express itself that, in a sense, disrupts the way we have been holding on to things, or holding on to situations, or holding on to certain circumstances, trying to keep them the same. Then life is seen to become more. So we are here to become more. As one of my friends who I'm going to interview next week, her name is Monica Nyoka. I actually have the privilege of mentoring her. And we're going to actually do an interview together next week. She committed to that today, so I'm putting it on camera now so she won't back out. Right? But more, is a word that she loves a lot, and we'll talk some more about that next week as we talk about liberating more of who and what we really are. So the idea here, what are some of the practices that we can do to liberate our greatness? One of the things is first to recognize what fear is, that we do fear to ourselves, so that we stop living in fear and putting faith into fears, right? Because fears don't have power unless you give them power, okay? So nothing can have power over you unless you give it power, right? So understanding that we can take our power back from the things that we've been investing in terms of the things that we're afraid of, bring that back into our own being. But there's some practices that you'll have to do for that to actually happen. And one of the main practices that I want to encourage everyone to get involved in is silent meditation. The word meditation, meeting eternity during intimate times, attaining thoughts, inspired omnisciently now. So meditation is very, 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 very important. It's the bedrock of practice. If you're not connecting with that deeper inner sense of who and what you really are, you're living at the surface of life. And when you live at the surface of life, you become open to the changes because you become very identified with physical circumstances. When you live at the surface, you become very identified with your body, with the relationships that you have in the world. You become identified with the things that you possess. Some people, you ask them, so who are you? They say, I'm a doctor. That's who you are? I'm a lawyer. Okay, who are you? I'm a mom. I'm a dad. People have become identified with the roles, right? A lot of people don't even realize that dad, mom, child, businessman, businesswoman, doctor, lawyer, engineer, these are roles. They're after the I am, right? The I am comes before them. So a lot of us lost, and I was there. I'm not trying to pretend like, I knew this from get-go. I discovered this and uncovered this in my own journey. And recognize that we were mistakenly, and many people have come to the realization now that we were mistakenly identifying ourselves with temporary situations. And once you do that, the fear of losing those temporary situations is inherent in identity with something tangible and something temporary, right? So we want to come out of, we want to become extemporal. Right? We want to go back to that timeless nature of being, that dimensionless nature of being that's not identified with situations and circumstances. And when you do that now, the greatness that's in us starts to get a way for it to start to express itself. And one of the key practices that will help us to remove some of the cloth that's covering it up, some of the shroud that's covering it up, is silent meditation. It helps to disintegrate some of the stuff that's crushing itself over the nature of who and what we really are. And also affirmative prayer. Now, affirmative prayer, prayer, the word prayer, sometimes people tend to think of prayer only as when you clasp your hands and close your eyes. But every word that comes from your mouth is a prayer, right? Because prayers are really the statements that we make. The statements we make on a daily basis are the prayers that we are praying, right? So we're all praying unceasingly. But are we praying in a way that's declaring and announcing what we want to experience? So what we have to start to do is to contemplate and reflect so that the words that are coming from our mouth are words that we want to come back into our life experience. The words that we speak, they will become fruits that we will actually bear. They'll bear as fruits in our life. And the words you're speaking are boomerangs. They leave your mouth and they're coming back. They're coming back to massage you really nicely, or they're coming back to bite you in your butt. But they're your own words that are coming back to you. There's a teaching that says there's power of life and death in the tongue. And all of us will eat the fruits of what we speak. There's power in the words we speak. So therefore then, learning about affirmative words, affirmative prayer, affirmative declarations, right? So that what's coming out of our mouth is positive and is something that we want to see come back to us, right? It doesn't matter what we see happen in the environment. What's important is how are we going to describe it? That word describe, right? And I know my videographer will help me here. De, and the word scribe, right? Those are two separate words. De means of, right? And then scribe means the one who's writing. And we end up seeing what we describe, right? A lot of people don't recognize that what you are seeing is what you have described, right? People think that they describe what they see. Really, you're going to end up seeing in life the things you have been describing. So I want to encourage us, ladies and gentlemen, to pay very close attention to what's coming from our mouth. Because in so doing now, we'll start to come into alignment with the greatness that we are. And we are not affirming to deny negative situations. We're not affirming to say, well, this is happening in my life and pretending that it's not there. No, we're affirming to come into alignment with what's true about us. So that what's true about us can now start to disintegrate what's not true about us. And the truth about us now can start to manifest itself, because we have spoken things that are not in alignment with ourselves, and the thoughts that we speak that are not in alignment, they become experiences that we have because of how thoughts eventually become a manifestation. Habitual ways of thinking always manifest themselves. Habitual ways of thinking always manifest themselves. So as we look at our own habitual patterns of thought, and we start to recognize that we've been off track, we can get the affirmative aspect going, so we can start to declare in an affirmative way what we want to experience. And then of course, there's spiritual study. We definitely need to do that. We need to have great books. I'm making recommendations over time. Over time I've mentioned several books that I've used. I've studied many. I just come to mind, one of the beautiful books is Rumi. He's a poet. I haven't been able to study his book in totality, but I'm definitely going to get back into that. He has some great poems. One of the things he says, really, I don't remember the full quote, but he says this, a lot of people raise their voice, right? So what he says is recommending this. Instead of raise your voice, raise your words. And he went on to say in the poem that the flowers grow not because of the thunder, but because of the rain. So we have to get into that place where our words lift up. They don't tear down. Our words are affirmative. The words are positive as they go out from you into the environment, right? Because of the powerful nature of the being that you are. So we're going to help over time through this dialogue that we're having with one another, right? To actually liberate that greatness that's within us. So I mentioned 3 basic things today. The 4th one I'd add to that is high-minded conversations. There's something within us called interactive thinking, where we tend to think about what other people are thinking about, what other people are thinking about us, what other people are thinking we are thinking, what they're thinking we're thinking about them. So interactive thinking is something that happens within us as human beings, and we end up experiencing the way we describe anything or anyone. Looking at foibles of a friend or a family member or even a spouse, when you look at their foibles, you experience what you're looking at. Because whatever you're looking at, you're really looking with it. So if we see the highest and best in a person instead of their foibles, we'll experience that within ourselves. So we can retrain ourselves to see the highest and best in everyone and stop looking at the foibles, stop looking at the negatives. Because when you look at them, you're looking with that. And if you're looking with it, it means you're experiencing it, which means that you're experiencing a negative experience because of the way we choose to look at something. Not the situation being negative, it's our looking at it with a negative perspective that causes a negative experience. So over time, we will learn to look at things from the affirmative standpoint. And always to see the glass half full and not see it as half empty. Always to see the positive end of the stick instead of looking at the negative end of the stick. Because it is our description of it. It's us giving it that meaning that will give it that meaning of negativity, and we'll experience it that way. But we can always look at the situation and say, okay, where's the silver lining in this cloud? What's the best that can come from this instead of looking at it from the worst standpoint? So those 4 basic practices, I'll get into some others, but meditation, silent meditation, we definitely have to touch on that in a deeper way. We won't do that today, all right? I'm going to dedicate a total talk to that. But those practices that I mentioned, there are 7 of them. And the other 3, I won't go into detail, but other 3 practices that we need to do is life vision and selfless service and fellowship. Now, those first 4, the meditation is the foundation piece. If you're not doing silent meditation, my friends, I'm telling you, you're just toying with spirituality. Right? You're just having euphoric experiences, but you're not breaking free. All right? So next week, we'll go into a little bit of conversation. I've had mostly monologues so far in the videos I've done. I don't know how many I've done all in one and all so far. But I'm really looking forward to interviewing my mentee. All right, I'm privileged to have someone who looks to me as a mentor. I'm very grateful for that privilege and honor. And I'm looking forward to sharing with you through that medium so that you can actually hear from someone else see that it's not just Harry alone up here talking these things and trying to have a good time and actually having a great time in life, right? So I'm very happy, man, about life. And I know, man, your joy, your peace is just underneath everything that you've used to cover it. And we're going to help with each other. We're going to talk this out, and we're going to work this out, and we're going to disintegrate that crustiness that we have put over our loveliness. All right? So God bless each and every one of you, man. We'll see you at the top of life. You deserve to be there. Bye for now. For those of us who enjoyed this video, or even if you didn't fully enjoy it, but leave your comments, all right? Please share it with friends, family, individuals that you'd like to actually learn about what we're talking about. And please subscribe to this channel as well. Our goal is to really help more of us as human beings on this planet rise and shine and reveal more of our inner peace, joy, and reveal more abundance. All right. So thank you for your comments. I'm looking forward to reading them. I'll seek to respond to them. I'm having a great time. I hope that you are. God bless you all.